welcome back to the PI Show viewers. We're at that time of the show where we're doing the mailbag. Kathy,
Good evening.
how are you tonight?
Good, thank you, Tony. How are you? Good evening, Harry.
Harry,
Thank you.
enjoyed the show?
Yeah,
Kathy?
no, it's good, isn't it?
Always
It's
enjoy it. It's very informative.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
But most
what we get on this
importantly,
day.
Questions.
do
We've got
the viewers
questions.
enjoy the show? That's the most important question. Yes, we do. And tonight, there is a viewer by the name of Miles from St. Helena who's actually written a question to me as well. So thank you very much for that, Miles. Question. I'll start off to get into it because there's a lot to cover. Dear Harry, Tony and Kathy, I volunteer in the tuck shop at the local primary school. A couple of months ago, I sustained a shoulder injury when lifting up a milk crate. This has caused me discomfort over the past months and it's getting worse. Can I make a claim under work cover? I'm worried because someone told me volunteers aren't covered, but I'm experiencing a lot of pain and it's ruining my life. Thanks, Miles. Harry,
Well, look,
can we raise a work cover claim for a volunteer?
Volunteers, some volunteers are covered under the Accident Compensation Act. I think
Firefighters.
and volunteers in emergency services are covered. I don't think volunteers in tuck shops are covered. There's no employment relationship. There's no intention to form a employment contract.
Well, Harry, the biggest loss, I guess...
And so I don't think they're covered under the Accident Comp Act. I think they might be covered under the Wrongs Act.
Okay, well, what it means is that Miles misses out on no-fault benefits, but he still has to prove negligence to get himself damages. And I would have thought if he's not covered by the Accident Compact and he's under the Wrongs Act, it's a lot easier to get it over the line because he only needs more than 5%.
For a shoulder.
For a shoulder, yeah.
So he's got to have an impairment or 5%.
Which he'll get to pretty easily.
And then you've got to say that the system of coordinating volunteers wasn't done correctly, and there was a risk that wasn't assessed properly, and there's a breach of the duty of care by the...
You'd have to have a close look at the milk crate and what was the contents and the heights and all this sort of business. It's like you said, Harry, you have to look at the system.
The facts, the system of
and
work,
the facts,
if you like. And then the defendant would be the state of Victoria.
Yes.
If
But
it's,
either way,
if, it's
Miles...
if it's a public school, if it's a private school, it'd be private school.
I think Miles should get legal advice because either way, I think you've got coverage and protection, so...
yeah, the Wrongs Act's probably easier.
It is easier. The only thing is if it's an accident comp matter, he gets no fault benefits, sorry, which tides him over in the short term.
But he's a volunteer, so there'd be no wages. What would you get? Medical expenses?
Medical expenses, which you'd think would be pretty expensive, operations and things like that.
Yeah, but there's no wages.
Miles, don't stress too much. You're covered either way, I think.
Yeah.
But seek
get
legal
advice.
advice.
Seek legal advice.
Moving on, dear Harry and Tony, I recently sustained a serious injury at work owing to the negligence of my employer. When I suffered my injury, I was told that falling pregnant could seriously aggravate the risks of further damage being caused. However, I am a staunch Catholic and object on religious grounds to use of contraceptives. I know some people think this is silly, but I am very committed to my faith and these things are important to me. I have since become pregnant and my condition has deteriorated. Am I able to recover compensation for my worsened condition? Thank you. And this is from Sarah in Diamond Creek. Very unfortunate circumstance if that aggravates obviously Sarah's condition. But what do you think about that, Tony?
Look, I think the eggshell skull principle kicks in, Harry, and you take a victim as you find them, and you take them with all their beliefs and everything else, and whatever problems they've had in the past, or the eggshell skull principle basically says if a plaintiff's got a thin skull and he gets injured. If someone that had a thicker skull wouldn't have got injured, the defendant, bad luck. You take them as the victim comes. Now, because she's had the pregnancies come after the accident, it raises some interesting issues, Harry, but I would have thought that it probably wouldn't matter.
No, look, the short answer is there's compensation. The starting point is the employer's the wrongdoer, and the wrongdoer's caused an injury. And then you've got to look at what the consequences of the injury and the effects on her loss of enjoyment of life, pain and suffering, and the pregnancies in that mix. So I think the short answer is it would be taken into account in any assessment of damages. But the wrongdoer, as you say, takes the person
as they find them.
As they find them.
But Harry, there's another issue here. On the no-fault benefits front, the fact that she's pregnant now, does that affect her benefits? It
Well,
might.
if there'd be a circumstance where she can't work
Due
because
to the
of
injury.
due to the back injury,
And then there'd
and the
be...
pregnancy doesn't override that.
No.
Doesn't override.
No, I
that.
agree with that.
So I think we're in heated agreement, Tony.
Yeah, no, we're in agreement.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
but I think it's the pregnancy would be part of the mix. We'd look at all the factors because has the pregnancy made her back condition worse? If it has, it's compensable and would be taken into account.
Well, on the balance, you'd think that the pregnancy would make her back worse. You know, there's a lot more weight to carry.
And if there's a healthy child born, then there's bending and lifting and all those sorts of things. So and again, that affects her loss of quality of life.
It does.
Because she can't be involved in the child as much as she would like to because of a serious back injury.
Of course.
So I think the employer's liable and the employer's got insurance under the Victorian Work Cover Scheme.
So
Kathy.
there's some scope there.
Yeah, get advice.
Yeah.
I think it's important, Sarah.
And causation, you got to have medical opinion
Yeah.
concerning the pregnancy and the back injury and the effect it has on the back injury. So you need a doctor to comment on that as well.
Okay, well, we hope that's helped, Sarah, and obviously seek legal advice. And this is obviously, it does depend on a number of factors. But you actually, both Harry and Tony, touched on the eggshell rule, and we actually had a question from another viewer by the name of Jared from Hurstbridge, who had also written in to find out what that was. And by coincidence, you've answered that question as well for Jared, so we thank you for that.
Because sometimes people have relatively trivial incidents cause catastrophic effects. And as Tony says, really it's the eggshell skull that you're vulnerable, more vulnerable than the next person, but the wrongdoer has to take the victim as they find them. So
it's a case-by-case basis?
But relatively small incidents can cause very dramatic effects on people.
And very serious accidents in some circumstances don't cause much damage.
Yeah. So the eggshell skull is that you take the person injured as you find them, and they might have multiple prior problems, and some incident just tips them over the edge.
Harry, it's the end of a show.
Already.
It goes quickly.
It's
Tony.
not fair. Why is
quickly.
it my segment always flies?
Goes quickly.
I would like to remind the viewers to visit our website and write into us at the same website at www.thepishow.com. Thank you again for your questions. One day you're going to have to give me a whole episode just to questions for viewers, because it's just not fair that I only get a few minutes.
No, look, they're interesting questions. I think we love to sort of hear from people and keep those questions coming in. They always, you can't beat facts, Tony.
No, you can't.
And each circumstance
Well,
is
we
different.
thank the viewers for watching and stay safe, I guess.
Yeah.
See you next week.
Good
Thank
night.
you. Thanks for watching.